Welcome guys, my name is George, and in today's video I'm giving you a how-to guide for cooking on an offset smoker. If you're curious about how these work, or if you're looking to solve your own offset smoker problems, this video is for you. Many videos give a general overview on how to cook, but I go a step further in this video and give you tips from how to start a fire, getting the best cooking smoke, controlling temperature, and when to add logs to your fire. Now let's get started. So today I'm cooking on my Brinkmann Trailmaster offset smoker. Today I'm going to be using apple wood and also Kingsford briquettes to get the fire started. And what I'm going to do is show you how I barbecue chicken, what my methodology is. Also, this will also be a video on fire management for an offset smoker, as I'm going to go through that during the cook, and how to maintain temperature. One of the things I'm going to do today is keep this temperature around 275 to 300 degrees. How I do that is I use, basically it's the ReadyCheck Maverick ET735. That's going to monitor my temperature all the way during the cook. And this is actually a Bluetooth thermometer, and it links up with my cell phone. So with that, we'll get this fire started and then get the chicken on. So what I have here is I've got 2 wax fire starters and then my full chimney of briquettes, and then I'm just going to go ahead and stick my full chimney right over top of that fire, and then in about 20 minutes those briquettes will be ready to go on and get them into the smoker box. Now here's how I have my smoker box set up, or I guess my fire box I should say. I've got a basket that I built to hold the coals and also the wood, and I've got the left side filled with coals, unlit coals, and then once my coals are ready I'll dump those here on the right side, and then they'll burn across, and that way I don't have the full thing lit at one time, and that'll help even out the temperature throughout the cook. And once I get the coals going, I'll shut everything up and let this thing start warming up. Now these coals are about ready now. Good thing to do is always get yourself a really good pair of gloves. These are welding gloves that I got from Harbor Freight. They're kind of cheap, but they do a good job at least of protecting my hands as I go to dump the hot coals into the firebox here. So these are ready to go, and like I said, I'm going to dump them over on the right hand side. Get them in there, and now get this thing closed up and let it start to heat up. Let's talk a little bit about fire management on a offset smoker. So you have 2 ways to control your fire and your temperature. You have it's all about basically airflow, and what I like to do is on the chimney side is I always keep my chimney all the way open. So let that thing stay open all the time, and I control the temperature by using the inlet side airflow. Open all the way is to get the highest temperature, and as you want to close it off as you dial into your cooking temperature. And you have to, with an offset smoker, or stick burner as these are called, you do have to continuously adjust that, but you also are able to cook with big pieces of wood, which makes your food taste better. So it's kind of a trade-off. Now this has been going for about, let's say, a good half hour, maybe a little bit less. We're at 187 degrees currently. It takes a while to get this thing up to temperature, and that will happen basically the thicker the material in your smoker, the longer it's going to take to get it up to temperature. Now these Brinkmanns really aren't very thick material. It's kind of an entry-level offset smoker, but I've done modifications to mine where I have about 1/4 inch thick plate steel inside of it to use as a baffle, and that takes a long time to heat all that steel up. So it does take a while to get this thing up to temperature, but now it's getting close. I'm going to go ahead and put a piece of my apple wood on and let that get started and show you what happens after you get a piece of wood on and how you have to look for the right color smoke so that you know you're cooking with the right smoke. Go ahead and get that right on top of the coals. And then what I like to do is then just let the box, leave the box open till it actually catches. And very important to use dry wood, obviously. And in this case, all of my apple wood is off of dead apple trees that I have here on my property. So now it's starting to catch already. And I'll let it get going here a little bit, and then I'll go ahead and close the box. Okay, close it up. And again, very important, you can see here, very important to have the vents fully open at this point so that the fire can get the most amount of air possible right now as it's trying to catch fire. Now, some people wonder earlier I said what's good smoke, and right now this is good smoke. You can barely see very, very thin colored smoke, and that's how you want to cook. You want to cook on basically when you got smoke like this. If you got the white, puffy, billowy smoke, that's just going to make your meat, it'll actually turn like smoky. The color will get real dark and like charcoal colored. This is how you want to cook on like this with the smoke like this. So whenever it gets white and puffy, basically that means that you don't have enough oxygen to your fire, and you want to make sure that you open it up and give it as much oxygen as possible. It's almost been an hour now since I put the chicken on, and one of the things I want to talk about in terms of firebox management is how do you keep your fire and how do you keep the temperature where you want it. Now, currently I've put 3 pieces of apple wood on so far, and my temperature had peaked out to 298 degrees. Now, right now it's starting to start to go down. It's hit at 297 right now. Now I know with my smoker here that as it starts to drop, that's when I need to put another piece of wood on. If I wait any longer, I'll be trying to catch it up all the way as I put wood on. So I need to put another piece of wood on right now. As that catches, that'll help build it up and keep it around that same temperature. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Put another piece of apple wood on. Get that right on there, and like I said before, I'll go ahead and let it catch. Leave the box open for a little while, let the wood catch fire. Once it catches fire, then I'll go ahead and close the door down again. And the reason why you want to do that is you don't want that wood to smolder. If it smolders, then we get the white puffy smoke on the chimney side, and that's not what we want for our meat. And like I said, since this wood is so dry, it's not taking very long at all for it to catch fire. Again, very important to have dry wood when you're using an offset smoker like this. And it's already caught. I'm going to let it go just a little bit longer, and then I'll close this thing down. So far we've dropped, just to give you an idea, I've dropped now to 283 degrees since I've opened the firebox. So it's one of the things you need to keep both the firebox closed as well as the cooking chamber closed. There's a saying in barbecue, if you're looking, you ain't cooking. And that's very true when it comes to these offset smokers. Opening this cooking chamber will lose heat very fast. Okay, we're going to close it down, and we should be in business now. Now, since I opened that cooking chamber up, I lost a little bit of temperature, and the temperature was going down before I had opened it up. So at this point, it's ready for another piece of wood. I'm going to go ahead and put that on right now. And really what's happening is, as those Kingsford briquettes burn down, I need to keep adding more and more wood to replace those coals that were inside the firebox. So what happens is I need to add more wood as I go further along in the cook until I can maintain the amount of coals that I have inside the the firebox to maintain the temperature. So again, we're going to let that fire or the wood catch fire, which it's doing right now. Let it get caught up here, and then once it is ready and fully engulfed in flames, then I'll go ahead and close the lid. Now, since I've closed the cooking chamber, the temperature has gone back up to 271 degrees. And it'll keep climbing once I close this firebox side. That looks pretty good right there, so I'll go ahead and close it down. Well, I can hear the ready check Maverick going off right now, and basically what it's telling me is I've now exceeded my 315 degree limit. So this will be a good chance now to show you how we would dial back the temperature when it gets too hot with the firebox. So what I'm going to do is just go down here. Of course, have your gloves on because this is very hot, and just close this off. I'm going to close it off about halfway, and what that'll do is that'll start to now reduce the amount of oxygen to the fire, and then it'll slowly bring that temperature back down into the range where I want it, which is between 275 degrees and 315 degrees. Well, one of the things I just did, and I didn't catch it on camera here what I did inside the firebox, but I had a bunch of white billowy smoke coming out of my chimney. And so what I did is I went into the firebox and just kind of took like my little fire poker and just kind of stirred the coals around a little bit, got a little so a little bit more air could get to them. And basically what you see now is now I'm back to a nice thin blue smoke again. So, you know, another thing you can do, what I was doing was dialing back the air inflow to control the temperature, but that was giving me a little bit more smoke. And so I opened up the firebox and just kind of moved the pieces of wood around a little bit, moved the coals around a little bit, so they're getting better airflow, and therefore improved my my smoke output out of my chimney. So another tip there on what you can do to improve your cooking using the offset smoker. Well, I put a couple pieces of wood on there now, and what's happened is, you can see my smoke is a little bit puffy and the temperature keeps going down. So what that's telling me, I have my vent all the way open, that I need to move that wood around to get it better airflow. So I'm going to do that right now. You can see there's no flames coming out of that wood right now. So I need to move it around a little bit. Get it in a better position. Get those coals underneath the wood, those new pieces of wood, so they burn better. And just stoke that around a little bit. See, that's much better now. Okay, now I can close her up. Hopefully that'll do the trick. It'll get her going now. Now you see the smoke. The smoke is much better now. Temperature now is still hasn't started going up yet, but it should here in a minute. There it goes. It's starting to go up now. So that's part of managing the firebox on an offset smoker. It's really not a set it and forget it, and you really have to be out here. That's why they call you pitmaster, because you got to basically master your barbecue pit. At the end of every cook, we need to make sure that we clean our smoker out after every single cook. So one of the main important things that I do is make sure that I open it up, and I'll, scrape off all the food residue off the grates. Very important to do that. Also to open it up and let it air out. Want to let any of that moisture that's in there get out of the smoker and let that thing dry out, because we don't want to let a lot of moisture in there to sit inside and basically then start to corrode the inside of our smoker. The other thing we want to do is open up and clean out the ashes out of the firebox. We want to do that after every time, and I'm going to go ahead and do that here in a minute, but I want to mention that at the end of this video, that it's a very important step. Right now these are a little too hot yet to go ahead and take out, so I'm going to leave this open and let it all cool down a little bit, and then I'll go ahead and scrape it out and empty all the ashes out of it. To recap, for how to operate a offset smoker is to maintain your temperature. Leave your chimney completely open. Control the temperature with the inlet side, looking at the air flow through the inlet. That's how we control our temperature. And then in terms of watching the temperature, you need to have a thermometer that measures the inside of your smoker's temperature. And then as the temperature starts to dip down, that's when we start to add more wood, add more fuel on. If we wait too long before it gets to the bottom of our temperature range, then it's too late. We'll be chasing the temperature down and then trying to get it all the way back up again. So as soon as it starts to dip down, that's when we need to add more fuel into the firebox. So hopefully this helped you understand how to maintain a fire in an offset smoker. If you like the video, go ahead and click the like button. If you have comments on how you manage the fire on your offset smoker, I'd be interested in seeing that as well. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.